Okay, so today I'm going to be talking all about the daily stand-up. Now, this is an awesome meeting that I introduced maybe a couple of years ago now. I've been refining it over that time, and I've now got it down to a fine art that is massively useful and a productive time in the day. It takes just 3 minutes per person to do this, but this one meeting, which we have with everybody in our team or in our department, depending how big your organization is, just really pulls everything together. And I want to explain exactly how we do it, the reasons we do it, the benefits of doing it, the risks of not doing it, and also give you a structure and agenda to do it for yourself starting today or tomorrow if you're already at the end of your working day when you're listening to this. So here we go. This is exactly what it is and everything you need to start using this fantastically useful meeting in your business immediately. So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us, who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits, and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day, and this is Systemize Your Success. Okay, so the daily stand-up is an idea I actually got from the Traction book by Gino Wickman, and it's something that we've sort of adapted and played around with over the past 2 or 3 years, really, to really get it down to what we now think is a brilliantly workable, usable, and engaging structure that actually gets people to want to come to the meeting and actually gets the whole team being more productive as a direct result of this one meeting. As I said in my intro, it takes just 3 minutes at most per person. So we have typically in our meeting, we'll have 5 or 6 people, depending on who's around in the departmental meeting for that particular day. And if you have a big organization, you may spread this out into a number of departmental meetings. If you've got a small organization like us, I would suggest that you bring everybody into a single meeting. And the idea is you're basically going to go around each person and ask them a very specific set of questions, or they will answer or tell you the answer to a very specific set of questions. And those answers will give you all the information you need to be confident that your team is on the right track and allow you to just get on with your own work and also reduce the amount of interruptions throughout your day. So let's just go through this in detail now. So as I said, it's up to 3 minutes per person, and it's strictly limited to 3 minutes per person. So it just takes 10, 15, 20 minutes per day, depending on obviously the size of your team. And the goal of this is to really identify and solve any barriers, any challenges, any roadblocks that people might be having, to also have the opportunity to share from past mistakes and challenges that have been overcome, and also really just to give you peace of mind that everybody in your organization, everybody in your team or your department is all actually focusing on the right things right now and are all moving in the direction that you thought they would be or you think they are. And so by having this very quick meeting, all those things are accomplished, and your team will also your team will also thank you for the opportunity of actually coming together, especially if they are a remote team like mine is. I'm based in Sweden. My team are based all over the world. We have a team in Pakistan. We have staff in the Philippines, in South Africa, in the UK, and myself in Sweden. So we are literally a global company. And so this is a great opportunity for just everyone just to see each other's faces, to have a little giggle about something. When people mess up or make a mistake, or we score the meeting, which we'll talk about in a minute, and that always brings out a smile on people's faces and a bit of a giggle and a good kick-off to the day. And it just allows or gives an opportunity for a group of people who work closely together on a day-to-day basis, but never actually really interact, to actually come together as a group. And that team building, that rapport, is just priceless. And it also serves you a massive purpose in your business, as I described, about getting everyone on track and making sure they're all focused on the right things, all that stuff. But it's also serving your staff as well. And they will thank you, even if they don't do it explicitly, they will thank you for it, as it will allow them to enjoy their work more because they're working more closely with their team. So it also really just facilitates good teamwork and communication between your staff members, because you're getting people together and they are sharing the problems that they either had and have solved, or they are sharing the problems that they have or the fears that they have for that day or the challenges that they foresee. And then people can chip in and say, oh, I can help you with that. So someone's got a particular challenge. The other day we were talking about that someone had a challenge about SEO, and they hadn't done SEO before, but they were asked to do some posting and they were worried about images and stuff. Well, the details are irrelevant. But the point is, in my team, I have somebody who's got a lot of experience in SEO, and she just chirped up and said, hey, don't worry, I'll jump on a call with you for 10 minutes and cover that. It's no problem at all. It meant that I, as the business owner, don't have to get involved in that conversation. I don't have to try and coordinate and direct people. But having this meeting does give you the opportunity to do that if you need to. So if you know that someone on your team, maybe they're a bit shy or a bit quiet and they don't want to sort of put the hand up, but they're brilliant at something and someone needs help with that, you can say, hey, John, why don't you have a chat with Jane because she's awesome at X, Y, or Z thing, whatever it is. So you can help coordinate and facilitate better team working between your staff by understanding or knowing a bit more about everybody in the team than each of those individual team members do, and therefore you can connect the dots and say, hey, you need to speak to this person or whatever, and that way that you can actually just keep the cogs turning, and really importantly, remove you from being a piggy in the middle of trying to coordinate stuff at other times. The other really important part of this meeting, or the benefit of this meeting, is it reduces the unexpected or the unplanned interruptions that you get throughout the rest of the day. So during your working day, you're probably going to get pinged by your staff asking you, for help with something, and other people will as well. This team meeting, this 3-minute meeting, allows people to get their biggest question answered, and that often is the roadblock that will get out of the way many other problems that they have. And if there is a bigger issue that can't be covered, in a couple of minutes, then of course you can schedule a meeting at a time convenient through both of those parties at a point in that day, which doesn't interrupt people in their own sort of preferred working hours. So it's a very, very useful coordination tool as well. And the other important thing to consider, and the other benefit of this is, it does take up 10 or 15 minutes a day, but it actually saves a huge amount of time in your weekly team meetings. So it reduces the amount of time you spend in your team meetings discussing issues which could have been resolved much earlier in the week. It makes people more productive at it's sort of a knock-on effect, because they're always working on the right things at the right time, and they don't sort of hold off for a week trying to progress something, waiting for their big team meeting to discuss something, because they've got this little opportunity every single day. So there's so many brilliant benefits from this very simple, quick meeting. But it's important that you have a structure to this, that you have an agenda and you stick to that. And the way we run this meeting, and we've tried quite a few nuances or variations over the years, this is the one we found that is the most useful. And these are the questions that everybody answers, and the structure that we go through, and how we actually keep this on agenda, on time. It doesn't overrun, and we've had these meetings run into 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour in the past. We've done everything wrong before we actually figured out how to do it right. And so now I'm going to just explain exactly the structure and how we do this. So the questions that everybody answers as quickly as they can, but they can expand as much as they want to, are: what challenges did you have yesterday and how did you overcome them? What is your plan for today's work? What do you plan to do? And do you have any concerns, or do you foresee any challenges, or do you need any help, or have any questions that you need answering by anybody in the team? That's it. So it's challenges from yesterday, how do you overcome them, today's plan, and do you need any help, basically. And typically that takes about 1 minute to actually go through that. You can talk about a lot in a minute if you're very focused on what you're going to say. And people get good at this, and they practice what they're going to say in their head, and then they come out and just say it. And so it can be really, really slick. And then that gives you, or whoever else needs to jump in, a couple of minutes to really address the main concerns and problems, answer the main questions. And as I said, you can always schedule a further meeting to hook up if need be at a later point in the day. So that's really the agenda. And the agenda is that everybody answers all of those 3 questions in turn, and you basically just go around the room. I'm trying to mix it up and don't actually have a strict order, just to be a bit fair on people. And I basically, whoever comes on my screen first in my Zoom meeting, I normally they go in that order. That's it. I don't have anything else more complicated than that. There are some challenges to running this meeting effectively, and as I said, we've had some problems over the years of this being something that overran, or we don't really get value from it, and people getting bored or feeling it's interrupting their day rather than being a useful tool for the day. It's actually being something of a hindrance in their daily work. And so some of the problems we've had is people not sharing, not everybody actually getting involved. People not just showing up to the meeting, so them just feeling their work was more important than coming to this daily stand-up. Meetings overrunning, I've mentioned that a few times, and also just spending too long talking about non-relevant things, i.e. things that aren't on the agenda, and therefore with not enough time to actually delve into the specific problems that people have, and so the actual purpose of the meeting is lost. It doesn't achieve the goals it's set out to achieve, which is to facilitate effective working and team working and being more productive. It's not about chin-wagging about various stuff or talking about strategy or delegating work. That's not the purpose of this meeting. There are different meetings and different ways to deal with all that sort of stuff, and that's not the purpose of this meeting. So in order to overcome those challenges, we set up certain structures that we adhere to strictly. One of the things we do is we actually track on a spreadsheet the attendance. So do people arrive on time? Are they there? Do they arrive on time, I should say? And then the rating of the meeting. I'll talk about the rating of the meeting. We track that on a spreadsheet, and we talk about that then in our weekly company meetings or our quarterly company reviews when we're going through our KPIs. And we say, look, how are we getting on? Are we improving our ratings? Are we improving our attendance? Are we improving people being late or early for the meetings? Or is it getting worse? And then trying to address it going forward. And since we've started tracking, things have improved just massively. Just by tracking it alone has seen a massive improvement in attendance to almost 100%, but not quite. We also assign a task onto each person's task board to say, look, every day, this is a task that you're going to do. And the task is to come to the meeting. So by actually giving them a task that this is something you will do every day and you'll check off, and your attendance at this meeting is something that is expected to be scheduled into your calendar, and also it's a task that's there on their board, it then makes it more likely that that person will prioritize that because they can see it there and they've got to come, and that's helped a lot as well. And the other thing we've done, which has been the biggest help of any meeting, including this one, and this is the last meeting we've actually applied this to because of the length of the meeting. I never thought it was probably worthwhile doing it. But since we've applied this, it's helped massively, and that is to rate the meeting. So we have a score of 1 to 5 for all our meetings. We call it the 5-star meeting plan, and the score is like this: did it start on time? Was everybody in attendance that should be in attendance? Was the agenda kept to? So as in, does everybody answer the 3 questions that they're meant to? Was it kept on schedule? So maximum 3 minutes per person. And were there any tangents? I.e., did we talk about anything that wasn't in the agenda? I.e., did we do anything that wasn't answering or addressing the 3 questions? And that's it. So we score it. Did it start on time? Was the attendance good? Was it stuck to the agenda, kept on schedule, and avoided any tangents? If we score on all 5 of those things, it gets a 5-star. It's that simple. And we track that. So we track the attendance, we track the 5-star rating, and we track the timeliness of people arriving at the meeting. And those 3 things have solved all the problems we used to have with this particular meeting and make it actually happen and function and be productive and be useful. And so that's it really. But in conclusion, I think my biggest take-homes from this are that without this daily stand-up in your meeting, your days are often full of interruptions. People often can go off on mad tangents over the course of a week, and then you have to pull them back in, and it's just a waste of time during your team meetings and a waste of people's time during the week when people aren't on addressing the most prominent and most priority concerns every single day. You also, without this meeting, you're left wondering, what is your team actually working on, especially if you're working in a remote environment. You may not be clear about what everyone's doing every day, and I don't want to be interrupted and pinged, or having to ping people, what are you working on? I want to know in a set time, this is that time. You also, without this meeting, may feel disconnected with your team, especially if they're remote, and they may not have another opportunity to come together in quite a casual way. It's not a sort of super serious meeting. We always have a laugh at this meeting. It's a great bonding experience. So without that, you don't get any of that. But with this, your team will feel heard. They'll feel supported every single day. Your staff will form better relationships, and you will basically just feel more calm, more in control. You'll have better visibility and just sleep better at night knowing exactly what is going on in your business. I can't encourage this enough to actually just start doing this very simple, quick meeting with a strict agenda and just kick off, have a go, and see what benefits it can bring you. Love to hear your comments on this. Please do leave a review. right now, if you're listening to this, then leave us a review, leave us a rating, and please do subscribe if you're listening to this on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. Thanks so much indeed, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to this episode. I'm well aware there are hundreds of great business podcasts out there, and you chose to listen to this one, and for that I am truly grateful. Hopefully what you heard today took you one step closer to building a successful business so you can share your passion with the world and serve an ever-growing number of people. If you got value out of today's episode, then so will someone else you know. By sharing with others what has helped you along your way, you will grow your influence and be the guy or girl that everybody wants to know. So please hit the share button right now, and also remember to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss future episodes. It's impossible for me to cover absolutely everything in these podcasts, so please do head over to systemizeyoursuccess.com right now and download the show notes, transcriptions, and some of my best frameworks and systems for free. Thanks again for tuning in and being a part of this amazing community. Until next time, this is Dr. Steve Day, and you've been listening to Systemize Your Success.